Welcome to my channel. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to make roses with royal icing. And I do have another video on how to make the royal icing. So I'm starting with mixing it a little bit. I am going to add some color. You don't have to. I'm adding a little bit of light blue and just mix it in well. And you can use a spatula or you can use anything you would like. Even a spoon will do. The secret with the royal icing, you gotta make sure that you keep it covered so it doesn't dry up. And I do have a couple of different recipes. Now you see me using my cup. And I'm going to use a coupler. As you see, that's a 2-piece little gadget. The longer part goes inside the pastry bag. Then you're going to cut even with the coupler. And you're going to add your tip. We are going to be using tip number 12 and tip number 104, but you're going to have a complete list of everything. So that's the coupler again. We're going to get a pastry bag, put it inside. And if you prefer, you don't have to have two bags. You can just switch the tip because see how easy it is to just switch it and then you put in the little screw part. So as you're making your flowers, your roses, your cupcakes, whatever, you can go ahead and change. Once the tip is there, then we are going to put it inside any kind of vessel that you want to use to hold it up. And you're going to fill. Another little tip with the royal icing is you don't want to put too much because as we hold it in our hand, it does get softer and warmer and you don't want that. So I prefer to put less and keep refilling my bag. And I do use just a simple scraper to bring down my icing to avoid and eliminate air bubbles. Okay, and then we are just going to twist the pastry bag because you want the icing to come out from the tip, not the top. And we're going to repeat the same with the other bag. So open it up, put your icing in there, and take your time. And again, the reality is this could get a little messy. You see a little clean area around me. It's not always like that. As we are going to start working, you will see it gets messy and it's normal. And it also does take a little time to practice. So don't get frustrated. Just keep on trying. And we want to put the icing as far down in the pastry bag as we can so that the top of the bag stays clean and we can keep refilling it. And I am using Wilton bags, which are a little thicker than the other regular pastry bags. So tip 12 and tip 104. I changed my gloves because sometimes they just get too much with the icing. See, messy. I'm using what we call a flower turntable. As you noticed, I put the video on a little bit of a slow motion. We're starting with tip number 12. I'm putting a little bit of icing there and placing a little parchment paper so that we can take off the rose, let it dry, and then move it to whatever we want. With tip number 12, we are going to go straight up and down. You're going to form a little puddle. Keep the same pressure, slowly move up, release, and pull away. You just made the center of your rose. Tip 104, with the wide part of the tip facing down, you're going to hold it on an angle. You're going to keep the pressure and the bag still, and you're going to turn your little turntable and go all the way around to make your center. Now we are going to go and make our first 3 petals. And you see how I'm going around, and now I'm going to close the first row. I'm going to start the next row half overlapping the bottom petal and half over the next. So you see how we're taking half of each petal. So, and this is going to be 5. You're going to keep the same pressure on your piping bag, and you are turning the table, the little table, not the pastry bag. Notice how I keep cleaning the tip of my pastry bag. You want it clean, to have a clean edge on your petals. So we start with the 1 center petal, a row of 3 petals, a row of 5, and a row of 7. And you don't have to keep making as many. You can stop at 3, you can stop at 5, you can continue to make it bigger. Again, make your center, hold your tip up, squeeze, maintain the same pressure, turn your table. The wide part of the tip stays down. As you start your petals, you're going to gently arch it just a little bit and go around. Keep maintaining the same pressure and keep going around. Keep cleaning your tip as well. And look how pretty that looks. Now you can remove it. And this is great to practice. So all I did is I took parchment paper, I cut it into little squares. I have a bigger turntable, so I felt maybe it was better to show you. And you can just keep practicing and move the flowers to the side. Now this particular royal icing that I'm using, it does not get hard. It's a soft bite royal icing. Again, however, I can get those roses and move them onto a cake or a cupcake or whatever we want. So turn 1, 2, and 3, and that's a small rose right there. I'm going to continue and make 5 petals overlapping, and 5. I'm going to continue, make another row of 7. I do have my turntable a little tilted. Now, there are these special little scissors that we use to move the flower. Of course, I couldn't find them. So I used whatever I had to move the flower and place it on top of my cupcake. And look how pretty that looks. You see how it's starting to get a little messy around me? Yes. And you see those little silicone covers. Those are great if you're practicing today. You need to put your stuff away and you want to practice tomorrow. Put those on the tips because, again, the royal icing does get hard and you don't want it to get hard in your tip. I'm using white icing now. I'm just going to make a little design around the cupcake just to show you that a cupcake doesn't necessarily have to be just covered with icing. It could just be a little bit. Now the rose does have a lot of icing. I made these cupcake yesterday and I took them to work today and they devoured them. Everyone loved them. And then there were some with less icing, some with more icing, and of course, they each got whatever they preferred. So again, we put the coupler, we put the cover. I'm using a star tip, 21. It's an open star tip. And again, I'm using any kind of vessel to help myself to place my icing in there. And yes, I could have skipped showing you this again, but I prefer to show you all the steps and in real time. I didn't speed up the video because I want you to see It does take a little bit of time. It does take a little bit of effort. It does get a little messy. However, as you get used to and as you practice a little more, then you'll find better ways to do things, and it won't be as frustrating. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll prep my icing the night before. I'll do my baking another day and my decorating another day, just so that I can enjoy each step. All right, I felt that there was an air bubble in there, so I wanted to squeeze it out. Perfect. So now we can get started. I wanted to show you this little elastic that could go around the bag, so you can close it and you don't have to worry about holding it, because we want the icing from the tip, not the top. And I'm just making simple stars. And the trick is to always squeeze with the same pressure and release before you pull away. Always release before you pull away. No matter what kind of decoration you're making, you always want to squeeze, release, and pull. Squeeze, release, and pull away. And I just decided that I wanted to add a little red in there, because I don't prefer to use red icing, but we wanted a little red something in there. Now I'm going to show you how to make the rose directly onto the cupcake. Again, you want to make your center, so squeeze, puddle, slowly come up, release, pull away. Now, we don't have our turntable, but we are still going to turn the cupcake, not the tip. Okay? So, squeeze, release, pull. The larger part of the tip stays on the bottom, almost attached, but not sinking into your base. And keep on making those pretty petals. Keep on practicing. Make a batch of icing, stiff icing. And in the icing video, I also show you and teach you the different consistencies and why we use different consistencies. So you see, it is a little bit more whatever, because we have to keep turning the cupcake. However, this came out beautiful. And we make a pretty rosette. I'm going to have a video just to show you how to make that. Don't worry. And it's still tip number 21, which is the open store tip. Look how pretty. I don't suggest doing the rose on the one side of the cupcake because it does tilt over. Just saying. Ask me how I know. Okay, and then again, I think I put, we're going to put a little bit more sprinkles on here. And just have fun with it. Yes, we do want to make certain flowers and certain designs, but have fun. Practice, practice, and practice. That's what I always tell my students in my classes. You have to practice. There's still a lot of times where I take the roses and take them apart because I don't like them. Another suggestion when you're practicing, you get a styrofoam block and you can put the turntables in there. And what you can do, you can make the bases with tip number 12 and let them dry for a little bit. So it's a little harder when you go and make the rose, because I don't know if you noticed, but my base was getting a little slanted. So you can also do that. And enjoy this. I hope I see you baking soon. And I hope to see you on my next video as soon as I post our amazing royal icing recipes. See you soon.